Hello again, my most amazing artists. Today we're going to be learning about the fibers technique known as Kumihimo. Kumihimo roughly translates to braided cord or the gathering of strings, and it is a traditional Japanese form of cord braiding. So we're going to learn a little bit more about how to create this type of art. In order for this to work though, we need to create a tool. This is going to be our Kumihimo wheel, and we are going to make this using just a simple sheet of cardboard. One thing about cardboard is it's usually free, which makes it a great material to use. So in order to do this, we're going to use a small sheet of cardboard, and you can find this on really just about anything. I'm sure you could find some cardboard laying around your house, or you can pick some up at a store for little to no cost. Okay, so you'll need something like this, and then you'll need something round. The only reason I have this tape here is so that I have something that's circular. Another thing that's great for this are DVDs or CDs or game discs. Anything 4 to 6 inches. You can see that these aren't the same size, but they're pretty close. And anything in that range will work. So here you can see I've started using the CD, and you can see the cord is braided here. One thing you might notice though is that this does not have a lot of contrast. I used two colors that were very similar to one another, and because of that, they don't stand out or pop. But if you have two colors that are very different from one another, they create a lot of contrast, and you can really see a nice spiral all the way around your cord. These can be great for really just about anything. You can use them to make a bracelet or a necklace. You can use them to attach to a gift. You can attach them onto your bag. You can use them as a keychain. Traditionally, they were used in Buddhist temples and in samurai armor. So let's see what we can do with this. So for starters, I'm going to need to make a circle. So I'm using this tape roll here, and you can find just about anything, a cup, a bowl, whatever it is you have to trace around, and you don't have to trace around it with a marker. I just happen to do that because it's laying here, but you could use a pencil. Okay, so I've got my rough circular shape, and I'm going to cut this out. Now this could be the trickiest part. If you need an extra pair of hands, you can ask an adult. I find that cutting out a square or rectangular shape first helps me big time, rather than trying to cut and deal with like a whole box. That can be really, really tricky. So here I'm going to cut around the circle. Okay, that looks pretty good. Do not worry if it is not a perfect circle. It does not need to be. What we're going to do with this now is we need to create some markings on this. We need to create some measurements. So what I'm going to do first is I am going to start by putting my name on this side. Not in the very center. Okay, but off to the side. Now I'm going to flip this over, and I need to mark 4 points. These are going to be like a compass or my cardinal directions. So I'm going to go north, make a small mark, come straight down, go south, north, south, east, and west all need to get marked. Okay, so I have north, south, east, and west. Now, in between each one, I want to do maybe northeast. I'm going to find that center point of this line segment. I'm going to mark as close to the middle as I can. Okay, so I start with 4, and now when I add 1 in between each one, I am going to end up with 8. In order to make Kumihimo, I need to have 16. So I'm going to do the exact same thing one more time. Mark it here, 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 here. It's okay if it's not perfect. We just need a rough estimate. Okay? And then I'm going to find as close to the center point as I can and mark that too. Okay? Now I'm going to put this tool away, and I need to create a hole in the center. And the way I like to do this is I start flat on the table, and I'm going to use the scissors almost like a drill, and I'm going to wiggle them back and forth. So I'm holding the handle until I just barely get a hole started. If your scissors are too round to do this, you can poke through with a pencil. And then if I support this on the back, I'm kind of spreading my fingers out right here in the middle as I know where I'm going to be. I'm going to twist my scissors back and forth. I'm not pushing hard. As it starts to poke through, I want my opening to be wide enough that if I were to drop a pencil through this, it would just fall straight through. So, with no problem, it should be able to do that. Okay? And that's telling you you've got a big enough hole. Now, this part's pretty much done. What I need to do is cut the notches. So, when you cut in, you only want to cut in maybe 1/4 of an inch or like a centimeter, not very much, because if you cut too deep, you're going to lose the structural integrity of your Kumihimo wheel. So I'm just making 16 notches all the way around the outside. And all we're using these for is to catch our string or our yarn. So they just need to be deep enough that we can tuck a string in between them. Okay, and now that I've made it all the way around, I have 16 notches around that edge. What I'm going to do then is I need to create several lengths of cord. Now, when I'm choosing a material, I would recommend that you pick something that's a little bit thicker, not something super skinny, and not something that's super stretchy. If it seems really elasticy, pick a different material. What I like to do is I like to measure my entire arm's length. So I like to go from here all the way to my shoulder and then stop and come back the other way. Whatever size you need, you want to start with about 4 times as much as you need. You are going to need 4 strands of each color. So I'm going to do that one more time. Coming up to my shoulder again. I know that's tricky to see. Back the other way. That right there gives me, oops, I cut it right there. Okay, that's 4 of my orange. And now I'm going to do 4 of my blue. Remember, I picked contrasting colors so that they stand out against each other. Okay, once you have the first string cut, you can even line this up just here on your table. They don't have to be exact, but you want to get them pretty close. Okay, and I'm going to cut here and here. Okay, and now I have 4 strands of each. I'm going to put them together and I'm going to create an overhand knot. So I have the tails down here at the bottom. I'm trying to make sure that they're all pretty much the same length. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is loop this around my finger, pull it off, flip it under, and back through. Okay, and the reason I like to do my end like this is because it creates a nice little loop so that if you want to attach this to something later, it will be easy for you to do so. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this into the hole that I just poked. Okay, now we have to organize the string, so we'll talk about that. We are going to do a Y shape with each color, or a V shape rather. So I'm going to go 2 up to the top, 1 right next to each other. And I'm kind of just holding this knot in the back so that it doesn't fall apart. Come over to the other side, do 2 blue, right beside each other. And I'm going to bring these oranges down to the bottom. And they should be directly across from the ones that are at the top, side by side in little pairs, just like this. Okay, this is what it should look like when you start. And when you are braiding, you're going to find that sometimes these like to get tangled up. You don't want to just rake your fingers through this. This is a good way to create knots. If you do find that they're getting tangled, pull one string at a time, and that should help unravel it. You do want to do this on occasion because this long nest of strings is going to wrap itself up at the bottom too. So in order to start our Kumihimo, we are going to do something very simple, but pay close attention to the order in which this happens. So I need both hands for this, okay? I'm going to start with my bottommost string, and these colors always stay together. So my orange stays with orange. My blue or teal stays with blue. So I'm going to go left to the top, right hand drops, turn it like the hands of a clock. One more time, let's see that again. I go left to the top, right hand drops, turn it like the hands of a clock. Left to the top. Notice I'm literally switching hands when I do this so that I don't accidentally cross to the other side. You absolutely need to switch hands or you will make a mistake. So left to the top, grab it, switch hands, right drops, turn it like the hands of a clock. Now every once in a while, you're going to want to give this knot that's in the back a little tug. You don't have to pull hard, but that's going to help your braiding progress. You want nice, even knots. So pulling on this string on the bottom every once in a while is a great idea. Now, it doesn't really matter if you make a mistake and you turn it the wrong way. That's okay, as long as you switch back and forth between the colors. But what if, in the midst of doing this, you forget where you are? It's easy to do. There are 8 strings here. Notice which one is overlapping which. My blue is on top of my orange. That tells me I did blue last. So I'm going to start with orange. Left to the top, right drops, turn it like the hands of a clock. Now let's say I want to end this. So I'm going to come back to it later. What I like to do is stick a fork in it. That means I'm done for now, right? I create a fork here, and that just tells me, oh, I did left to the top. Now when I come back to my work, I know I need to go drop, okay? Right hand drops. So that shows me, if I put a fork in it, right, like the tines of a fork, that shows me where I need to go next, okay? So what about when we're done with this and we're finished and our tails have gotten really short and we have this really nice braid? Well, all I have to do is pull these pieces off, and I'm going to create yet another overhand knot. So I take it completely out. Okay, I have my tail here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold this over itself way back here in the braid and pull this down. And now I can adjust that knot to where it lines up right at the end where I want it to. Right about there, looks good. Okay, and now if you have this extra tassely bit at the end, all you have to do is trim it. And now this would make an excellent gift or bracelet or necklace or keychain or anything that you would like to use your Kumihimo for. If you get a little bit more advanced than this, you can start doing more than just 2 colors, and you can actually create a really beautiful pattern. We can talk about some of those advanced ones in the future once you get the hang of this braided cord. Pretty cool, right? I hope you've had fun making this with me. I'll see you guys next class.